everyone, Lou here. You know, it's been a while since I read a gross manga and talked shit about it. Since this preview for a doujinshi series blew up on Twitter, let's take a look at The Man Who Saved Me on My Isekai Trip Was a Killer. A couple of disclaimers though. One is that this video is not made for anyone under the age of 18, period. My channel already isn't for kids, but I want to make this especially clear for this video, as this is a hentai manga. Second is that this doujinshi has a lot of very heavy and triggering themes to people, so anyone with trauma regarding victim blaming and assault shouldn't be watching this video. Finally is that I won't be able to show much of the doujinshi due to its subject material. I don't want this video getting age restricted, so I'll have to use kind of strange wording to dance around certain keywords that YouTube doesn't like hearing too much in this video. So, let's get started. Despite the fucking mouthful of a title, The Man Who Saved Me on My Isekai Trip Was a Killer is not a light novel series. This is a doujinshi written by Ahan Horita on March 21st, 2022, apparently very well received and popular within the female fanbase of the hentai community. The manga's copies sold so well, at 200,000 copies in Japan, that an animation preview was made to preview the story as part of a promotion with the sales of the doujinshi. From this, we do not have any word on an official anime or ONA, but the creator has said he really wants to make one and is looking into making one, so I guess I'll have to leave a pinned comment down below if one is ever announced or made. That's pretty much it. Unfortunately, doujinshi don't get information like this, so it's pretty scarce in the first place. It also doesn't help that I don't know Japanese, so I had to rely on Google Translate for pretty much all the information in this video, so that was fun. With the backstory information out of the way, let's get started with the story. The story is about a woman who gets transported into a fantasy world, blah blah blah, we've all seen that before, when a handsome and very cute man comes in. The whole thing about this girl is she's fucking dumb and easily manipulated, so when she falls asleep in his bed, she wakes up to him touching her very inappropriately. He then completely takes advantage of her, knowing full well she is very confused and doesn't even understand what he's doing. And yes, she said stop multiple times, and that's enough. Multiple times. You'd think you'd take the hint, but then again, I know non-consenting shit is very popular in spicy manga, so that's a thing, and very gross. Friendly reminder that if someone says stop, you fucking stop. After they finish non-consenting spice, a guy walks in after she falls asleep, basically asking like, "Dude, bro, what the fuck?" And he basically confesses afterwards that she looks like his sister, and he's in love with his sister, so he wants to protect her and kill everyone for her? If it wasn't clear enough, this is also a yandere story, and I think that's the selling point. I mean, we've all seen Komaeda fans. Yandere boys who take it way too far is apparently a super hot thing for some people. Not me, though. There's also this backstory about the kingdoms of the land basically being in ruin. Something about dimensional hoppers would come in, start wars, and then ruin whole-ass countries. Although some countries apparently worship them for some reason, so when this girl comes in, apparently it's like a point of conflict for him to keep her safe. So the reason this is also important is that he claims his sister died due to the religion worshipping dimensional travelers, so he wants to start a war to get rid of them and also, quote, have his sister back by using her. The real kicker here, and I feel like no one is addressing this when they talk about this manga, is that his sister is also his mother because his father assaulted his own daughter. So I guess when he tried to assault his sister mom, she took her own life, and he doesn't see it because she, I don't know, lived a life of misery? At some point, the girl is captured and nearly assaulted herself, so the guy comes in to save her, but then he blames her for almost getting assaulted? Victim blaming, that's always fun. The manga also keeps calling him a kid, and like, I'm sorry, but there is no fucking way this guy looks like he's younger than 19, so maybe he's just a kid to her because she's in her late 20s or early 30s. I don't know, and I really hope this isn't an adult and child together, but then again, this manga has assault, incest, verbal abuse, and victim blaming, so who the hell knows? Maybe he's got a checklist of every gross genre possible for this manga. That's as far as I got, by the way, which is about chapter 3 at the time of this video, solely because I have to rely on fan translations, but apparently it'll be ending soon-ish. Pretty short, actually, so that's surprising. Yeah, so everyone but this guy's friend, whose name is Subordinate, are fucking assholes or genuinely very shitty people. Like, I don't know where the hell this girl was raised, but she's so naive it hurts. Like, for a grown-ass woman, she's got the mentality of an 8-year-old. He even talks to her like she's a little girl, and she doesn't even question it. I've basically seen people say they like this doujinshi because it's basically a cute yandere guy, the spice was hot, they just like the main girl having big boobs, or weirdos who have an incest kink. Obviously, I'm not trying to kink shame. To be honest, I don't give a shit as long as it's consenting adults. But you have to admit it's a red flag when someone thinks it's hot for someone else to beg someone to stop and recant their consent. Not to mention the story is basically Stockholm Syndrome. She literally thinks she's only falling for him because he rescued her when she came to this world, and that's literally it. Meanwhile, he likes her because she looks like his dead sister mother and literally openly expresses to his friend that he is planning to brainwash her into falling in love with him. The only positive I will give is that I think the fantasy background is pretty interesting. Just wish it could be explained a little slower because the pacing is a bit too fast. In the creator notes, apparently he came up with this entire lore for the doujinshi during a meeting at a cafe with his editor, so although that's impressive, it sounds like he just took that entire conversation and just plopped it into the story without slowing down for a second. To be honest, if you fix up the victim blaming, assault, Stockholm Syndrome, then I think this would be set for a pretty cool story. If I were to write something like this myself, I would change it to be more about this girl having to push this guy away and having to fight off harassment rather than assault. Maybe some kind of commentary on stalking and harassment in the first place? Not sure about that part, but I think something like that would be pretty cool. Overall, the story is very, very bad, but the lore is interesting at least. This isn't Tokyo Red Hood levels of disgusting and bad, but it still is fucking awful. The artwork is weird because sometimes it looks pretty nice, but the typical hentai art style where everyone has wide mouths ready to shove something into said mouth, but then other times it looks really messy and hard to tell what's going on, especially the fight scenes. The fight scenes are just genuinely really hard to figure out what's going on because it's just so vaguely drawn. As for the spicy scenes, it's typical hentai stuff. Exaggerated expressions, way too much fluid coming out of certain body parts, certain actions that would have caused pain in real life, etc, etc. The usual stuff, really. I've seen a dozen hentai manga at this point that now I'm just like, whatever, it's the norm. Oh, also the way this girl's boobs are drawn is just really weird too. Like, I can't get into detail because it's YouTube, but there's a certain part of her boobs that's just drawn way too big. Like, her boobs are big, but that doesn't mean that part of her body is going to be enlarged too. To be honest, this is gonna sound weird when I say this, but I want to say the art style kind of reminds me of Shindo L. He's the hentai author who wrote Emergence, by the way. I mean, it's not an exact reminder, but it feels that way because the artist seems to be heavily inspired by Shindo L's work, and it looks like he's trying to emulate that style. At least to me, anyway. Overall, the art style is okay. It's nice in some places, but horribly messy in the other places. This doujinshi was just really gross, and I feel bad for everyone who saw the preview thinking it was some really romantic, spicy manga about a cute boy spoiling a girl or something. Trust me, I saw a lot of people look at just gifs or pictures of the guy thinking that's what the doujinshi was about, and I'm just kind of here to burst everyone's bubble, I guess. There's also a part of me that wants to see an anime series solely because I clearly love torturing myself with shitty anime, but there's also a part of me that doesn't want to see this anime get an adaptation expectation because then more people would be talking about it, and then you'll have certain anime YouTubers saying it's the hottest doujinshi they've ever read, and then share it on his podcast or something. If you want to watch a story about a handsome guy sweeping a cute but adorably naive girl off her feet with very spicy times, I highly recommend Yubisaki Kara no Hunki Netsujo. Very cute story, very handsome lead, and I love the art style. If you want a story about a helpless girl basically getting kidnapped by a bunch of handsome yandere boys begging for them to leave her alone, then I guess watch Diabolic Lovers. It's not good, and I don't particularly like it, but if you like the themes in this doujinshi and you want more boys, then I guess this is for you. Lastly, if you want an interesting fantasy anime with some big boobs, then I guess I recommend Seven Deadly Sins. It's not the greatest anime ever made. Frankly, I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I think it'll satisfy that need to see big boobies for anyone who likes women. I don't like women, so it just exists for me. Let me know down below what you think of the video, though. Were you surprised about the story for this trash doujinshi? Did you see the censored preview on Twitter? Let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!